Hey everybody, this is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We're back with this week's new comic book reviews. It's a pretty light week, but really the big thing this week is this Saturday at your local comic shop is Free Comic Book Day. So it's done the first Saturday of every of May of every year, and this year it happens to fall on May the 4th. Be with you. So make sure you swing by your local comic shop. Now I did do a review of 47 of the 48. There was one that we went missing, but I have reviewed them all. I read them all, and so watch that video. I'll put the link in the comments for that particular video, so you can figure out what books to look for at your local comic shop for Free Comic Book Day. But the other thing is really to make sure that while you're at your comic book shop, make sure you buy something, because even though the comics are free to customers, they have to pay a small fee for them. So make sure that you do, by supporting your local comic shop, make sure you buy some stuff in there. They have plenty of comics, graphic novels. Some might have toys and apparel, but just make sure you buy something to support them and help them pay for those free comics that you get. So definitely watch that video, and I will be at my local comic shop, Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. If you want to come by, I'll be there slinging the free comics and helping people, figure out other things to buy while they're there. So, but make sure, as always, support your local comic shop and visit them on Free Comic Book Day and find out, why comics are so great. So with that being said, let's get to the new books. First up, we have Space Ghost #1, written by David Pepose, with artwork by Jonathan Lau. Now, I really want to emphasize that, I'm going to be a really tough critic on this book, because I grew up watching Space Ghost, not when it initially aired. I'm not that old. But what they would do is they would rerun, older shows with new shows, and one of those was obviously Space Ghost. He along with a lot of the Hanna-Barbera superheroes, the Herculoids and stuff like that. So I am very much a huge Space Ghost fan, and there's been many versions of him in the comics. Probably the most famous, I think it was 82. There was Kamiko did a one-shot with Mark Evanier wrote it, and Steve Rude, who is a hugely professed fan of Space Ghost, drew that. And it was amazing because it was just the cartoon in comic book form. He hit all the right beats and everything. So DC did a version which was actually pretty decent. So now we get to this one by Pepose and Lau, and I have to say I was pretty impressed. The big thing is, it's a bit of a modern take. It doesn't have, kind of that classic, visual style of Alex Toth, who did all the designs for the show. The show itself was pretty basic. It would be like, okay, there's bad guys, Space Ghost, Jan and Jason Blip would go after them. They would solve they would beat up the villain, and that would be it. That's pretty much what the episodes were. And then, I believe it was in the late 80s, there was a new version of it. There were shorts made, for Saturday morning, and they're honestly not very good. They're one of those where they're, message cartoons. So those, that was just that period of Hanna-Barbera that was kind of not very good. So getting back to the comic, what Pepose has done here is he understands what made Space Ghost work. The Galactic Patrol is kind of like oversees the universe, but they're spread pretty thin. And what he has done here is that Space Ghost is a cop, space cop that has basically gone AWOL, because they're just not, it's not that he's gone rogue and he's killing villains. It's nothing like that. It's more of, he is just, they're not able to cover it, and he, has kind of set up his own thing to help the people in need. So it starts off with Jan, Jason Blip, and their town is getting attacked by, villains, and so their dad is trying to get them away. So because he has developed computer stuff, computer software and the villains, that's what they're looking for. He's actually hidden it in Bleep, the monkey, and so they're getting away. And then while they're getting away, they almost get captured, and then Space Ghost comes to save them. And you know that we also get to see Brack show up. But what Pepos, like I said, what Pepos has done here is he's modernized it, but he has not taken away from what Space Ghost is and what made Space Ghost great as the original cartoon. And but he's actually, really, the big thing is he's infused a lot of character into this. The show was very two-dimensional and very basic. And what he's done is he's given, especially Jan, Jason, Blip, kind of give them, more backstory and stuff like that. And then Space Ghost, in some ways it's a little bit of a vigilante, but, once again, he's out, he is there to help people in need. And, once again, it's, he's using the classic villains and stuff, but he's morphing it more into a modern story. But once again, not negating what has come before, where its origin goes. So I really liked this first issue. I was actually quite impressed. I have to admit, Pepos, for me, sometimes, his writing is hot and cold. A lot of writers, even great writers, can, have not so great moments. But I think Pepos really is really gotten his A game here. And reminds me of his original, more indie work of Spencer and Locke. And he's kind of brought that, kind of sensibility to here. And I have to admit, Lau's artwork is actually quite nice. Dynamite sometimes has really struggled with the art on a lot of their books, but Lau really steps it up here, and it really is a good looking book. I'm very impressed with this. I have to say, there was many covers, but I had to pick the Michael Cho one because it's, classic, Space Ghost, Alex Toth visuals. And he has said that he is doing covers, variant covers for, I believe, all the first 12 issues. So that was my particular favorite of the covers. But it's definitely well worth picking up. I'm really impressed. And for those who are kind of interested, the Johnny Quest Free Comic Book Day does have some preview pages of Space Ghost if you want to check that out there. But I definitely recommend picking up this book. I really like this book a lot. It's almost, I would say it's my pick of the week. It is that good. And I was very ready to not like it. So that's a big step up. Bravo to Pepos and Lau. Next up, we have The Blood Brothers Mother, #1, written by Brian Azzilero. And it's the artwork's by Eduardo Risso. Sorry about that. So basically what it is this, it starts off with, Carter getting out of a Mexican prison. His gang has raised enough money to pay off the Mexican prison to let him out. So he's on his he wants to find his wife Anna, and they tell him that, hey, she got remarried and she's got kids, and so they him and the gang go. She's remarried to a preacher. They have 3 boys. And so he basically kidnaps the mom, and then the 3 boys, set off on a journey to go after him to rescue their mother. That's the basic premise here. I definitely liked it. It's definitely a setup story. Zolio is setting up everything here. It definitely has that, Man with No Name, Once Upon a Time in the West, kind of that classic Western feel, which is really nice. And Risso's artwork really captures that, kind of, you can almost taste the dust in your mouth from the visuals in the book. It doesn't also pull any punches. I mean, it definitely, that Carter and his gang are not particularly nice guys. So it doesn't really pull punches in that way, which is really good. It's kind of, once again, it's kind of that classic Western, but it'll be interesting to see where it goes from this first issue. I like the setup and everything, and of course the art's gorgeous. I think it has a lot of promise, and definitely the other nice thing is being a distillery book. It has that magazine size, so it really lets the art breathe along with the story. It really just opens that up to kind of a bigger thing. And I actually really like it. Distillery's on a roll. So far, they are firing on all cylinders with every book. And definitely the Blood Brothers Mother is well worth checking out this week. Next up, we have Blood Hunt #1, written by Jed MacKay with artwork by Pepe Lazar. So this is Marvel's big event comic for the summer. It's event season. We're getting ready for that. And basically what it is the vampires have basically set this thing up. They've turned the world dark so they can kind of take over. And so the Avengers are involved, Spider-Man, Doctor Strange, Scarlet Witch, Blade is thrown in there for good measure. And basically what it is the somebody, we don't know who's running the show right now or who's really behind it, but he has set up a gang and they take out the Avengers. And so that's pretty much what it is. It's basically vampires versus the Marvel universe. It's pretty simple, pretty basic. It was okay. It didn't blow my socks off or anything like that. I will say Lazar's artwork, the artwork's actually quite nice. It's just that really the one kind of thing that was a sticking point for me is MacKay doesn't really explain too much here. It's just like, oh, the skies are dark and the vampires are loose. Oh, okay. There's kind of, once again, it's an okay story, but there's just not a lot of meat on the bone there. And so that's kind of the thing. It's a pretty basic story. Visually it's nice and there's a lot of action and stuff, but really, once again, there's not a lot after that. And that, it's okay. But didn't really, particularly overwhelm me in the end. Next up, we have Nightwing 2024 annual, written and drawn by Travis Moore. So what this is so this is the origin of Babe Bennett, which has been in the storyline. So I think if you really need to have kind of read the running Tom Taylor, Bruno Redondo run of Nightwing, and you understand, the character Bay. So it's kind of, I wouldn't recommend this to new readers, but for Nightwing readers, this tells the origin of Bay and how she became, who she is. And it starts with her mother and her on a boat. The boat is attacked. Her mother's killed, and so it leads her on. That we find out that her mother was a checkmate agent, and it leads her on a road to revenge to get revenge for her mother, to find out who killed her, and so it leads her to join an assassination group, and they send her on a mission for Rick Grayson. And what it is Dick Grayson, who was there was an assassination attempt and he was shot, but he has selective memory, so she kind of inserts herself into his life. She knows he's Dick Grayson, she knows he's Nightwing, but she's trying to she ends up falling in love with him and protecting him, which has been alluded to, that particular story was alluded to in the regular Nightwing series. So this kind of fills it all out. I don't want to really say any more, but it was a really good story, and I'm really a big fan of Travis Moore. His artwork is really amazing, but believe this... No, he wrote a DC Pride story, but he really is more known as an artist, but he's actually a pretty decent writer. It's a good story. It really complements the regular Nightwing story that Bay was in. And it's really well worth, picking up if you've been reading Nightwing. I think it really adds, it just kind of fills out her character and kind of adds a little bit more story to it. And once again, Moore's artwork is really, really nice. So definitely great pickup for Nightwing fans, but not for new readers of Nightwing. I mean, it's a good story and everything, but you're just going to be kind of lost of like some of the ties to the Nightwing story. Next up, we have Barbaric Born in Blood #1, written by Michael Morse.
with artwork by Nathan Gooden. So this is so what Barbaric is. So basically, this barbarian, um, he's been Owen has been cursed by witches, to where he has this axe who drinks blood and gets drunk on blood, but he can only kill people that are bad. So he can't, like, if you piss him off, he can't kill you. He can smack you, but he can't kill you with the axe. And so it's him, the axe, and Soren, the witch, and a vampire have kind of collected this group. Now there is a kind of getting up to speed prelude to this story, and what this story really is kind of about Owen's past. And there's this town, or this town that the barbarians are supposed to protect, and they end up in the thing, and it's kind of like, it's things are falling apart. Something has happened. The barbarians have not taken care of this community, and so they find out that there's something in the mountain, and so they go to this, they're trying to find out what's going on, why the barbarians are not protecting the community. And so when they get to the mountain, things get really weird, and I don't want to really say too much more, but this has been a really surprisingly good book. Morrissey has done a good job on the story. I like it. I'm a really big fan of Gooden's artwork. It's really a good looking book. And like I said, it is kind of a pretty decent jumping on point for this. I'd say it's definitely worth checking out. It's one of Volt's better books. Next up, we have Deadpool and Wolverine World War III, #1, written by Joe Kelly, with artwork by Adam Kubert. Okay, so what this is Delta, this group, Delta, is after Deadpool, and Wolverine's on this mission. A cop has asked him to find out what's going on in Canada, and then of course, out of the middle of nowhere, Deadpool and Wildside come out, and they have to defeat. They have to take care of Wildside. So Wolverine's kind of sucked into this Deadpool, chaos, and what it is he ends up, finding out that Delta's kind of behind this, this thing, and so they capture Deadpool, and then it's Deadpool versus Wolverine, and chaos ensues. Part of it was that Kelly's, I haven't read the first two. So, for me, I'm going in, and a lot of people are going to go, blind into this because of, the Deadpool and Wolverine movie coming out. And that's why they're doing this book. The problem is that the story is very disjointed. There's not, okay, they get together, then they're, the bad guys are kind of after them, and I get that basic premise, but it's really, there's a lot of, like, the story's kind of disjointed within that. Kubert's artwork's amazing. It's a great looking book. It's just that the story was just kind of mostly, and it was a bit on the confusing side too. That didn't help. It's almost like, it wasn't particularly new reader friendly in some respects. It was kind of okay. It's definitely, the artwork's amazing, but the story was just kind of like basic, but yet a little confusing. So I wouldn't, not a big recommendation. I think there's maybe other, Deadpool, Wolverine books that you probably should read, getting before the movie. This one was just kind of okay in the end. Next up, we have Lilo and Stitch, #3, written by Greg Pak, with artwork by Giuliana Giacomino. So what it is the cluster sovereign robots have been after Stitch, and so he escaped to Australia. He's hiding out in the outback away from them because he doesn't want, Lilo and the family to be involved. And so while he's there, he discovers this other family in the outback, and they become friends and everything. And then of course the robots come to attack, and he figures he has to leave because he doesn't want to put them in danger. That's the basic thing. Look, is this a huge, deep, story? No, it's It's fun, it's simple, it's a really good, decent, all ages book. It's not trying to be Shakespeare by any stretch of the imagination. Pack's story is, it's pretty basic, but it gets a job done. Giacomo's artwork is really nice, captures the animation feel. Look, it's, once again, this is, it's, I'd say it's definitely, aimed a little bit towards the younger audience, but that's fine. And is it, is it the most mind-numbingly brilliant Lilo and Stitch story? No, not really. But then I think what I like about it is it's keeping it simple, keeping it, moving along. Putting him in different locations is kind of a neat idea, and it works on that level, and that for me is perfectly fine. I'm a huge fan of Lilo and Stitch, and I'm enjoying it for what Pack and Giacomino are doing here. So it's still worth checking out if you're a Lilo and Stitch fan. Next up, we have Harley Quinn 2024 annual, written and drawn by Erica Henderson. The one thing I liked about both of these annuals is the creative team. They're kind of going outside the box, and they're standalone stories. The Harley Quinn is definitely a huge standalone story. I'm a huge Erica Henderson fan, so I made sure I ordered this. But basically, what it is she goes in with this they rob a bank. They're like, oh, well, I'm going to retire and stuff like that. And so Harley's like, I'm just going to blow the money on this, huge cruise trip. So she gets the Imperial Suite, which is the biggest suite, get all the amenities and everything. So she goes and she asks Ivy to go with her, but Ivy's like, yeah, I'm not going to go to a boat. And so, but she does. The interesting twist is, because you're always going to get sick on a boat. So Ivy gives her protection against that, which will come later in the story. I'm not going to give that away. But anyway, so while she's there, she discovers there's a magic show. It's Zatanna doing a magic show. But Zatanna actually isn't doing this show. She's created a version of herself to do basic, magic tricks so she can have a vacation. And during the show, this guy gets killed because she's throw the alternate Zatanna is throwing knives, and there's a person that gets killed. Well, we find out that person is Vandal Savage, and he can't get killed because he's immortal. So then it's the three of them trying to figure out what's going on, and who's assassinating who, and just chaos ensues. And it is a fun damn story. Erica Henderson, obviously, more known for her artwork. She worked on Squirrel Girl. She's done a number of other projects. She's obviously I love her artwork, but she's actually a really good writer. And this story is a freaking blast. It captures Harley. I love Zatanna. It's so much fun. This was such an awesome annual. It really was just spectacular. Well worth checking out, well worth buying this week. Let's just be realistic. Erica just knocked it out of the park on this one, and this is once again pretty much the best of the week right there. Next up, we have Bear Pirate Viking Queen #1, written by Sean Lewis, with artwork by Jonathan Marks. Okay, I know I'm going to screw this. Barakachia. So apologies if I messed that up. So what this is, this British captain, his boat is attacked by pirates, and gets destroyed. So he's floating along, and there's this bear, and then they come across this other ship. So he becomes a pirate, and does things. The bear's like his partner in crime, basically. And so they end up driving the ship into this storm, and they discover this Viking ship. It's kind of like a ghost Viking ship, and what it is there's a Viking beast on there, and then chaos ensues. I don't want to really say anymore. I don't want to give anything away, but it was really interesting. I have to admit, I'm not familiar with Lewis's writing. Like I said, it's kind of weird, but it works well. It almost seems like it's disjointed at points, but it never gets that way. And it really is just, what, why is the bear there? I don't care, but the really thing is, Jonathan Marks artwork is really amazing. It's watercolor artwork. It's absolutely gorgeous. And I love the way that, the art is kind of worked into the script, and the script is worked into the art at times. It's really an interesting book. It's very, very different and unique, but not in a bad way. It really is quite fascinating. And it continues from here. So it's like, I thought initially maybe this is just kind of like a one shot. Oh no, it's, I don't know if it's a series or mini series, but it really has a great cliffhanger, which I don't want to spoil. I really like this book. This was really kind of came out of nowhere and was really exciting to read. And visually, it's stunning. It's absolutely, the artwork is gorgeous. So check that book out this week. Next up, we have Get Fury #1, written by Garth Ennis, with art with pencils by Jason Burrows, and inks by Guillermo Ortego. So the basic premise of this is that Nick Fury has been captured. This takes place during the Vietnam War. And so he's kidnapped by the Khmer Rogue, and he's going to be taken to Hanoi to get all, because he has tons of secrets and everything. So the government gets Frank Castle, who is also in Vietnam. And they say, hey, you need to go and find Nick Fury and kill him because he's got too many secrets. So that's a basic setup here. It's Garth Ennis doing Garth Ennis. He's kind of doing the Punisher. He's doing, Nick Fury. But it really, he pulls no punches. There's some really disturbing images. I will forewarn you. This is definitely, it's a Max Comics, which we haven't seen in quite a while. That's kind of their R-rated books. This was really quite intriguing. I liked the setup and everything. Ennis does a really nice job of setting up the story, and Burroughs' artwork is really nice. It kind of has a simple style, but it really is very effective here. I really like this book. I was very caught off guard by it, but it really is well worth checking out this week. That was a big surprise this week. And finally this week we have Superman House of Brainiac Special #1. So there's 3 stories. There's Secrets of Caesarion, which is written by Joshua Williamson, with artwork by Edwin Galman. Then there is Campaign Headquarters, written by Mark Russell, with artwork by Steve Pugh. And then there is Signal, written by Joshua Williamson, with artwork by Fico Ezio. So what this is kind of ties into the House of Brainiac. So you definitely, you need to have read that to figure out what's going on. So really what the first story is it's about the Lobo's planet Caesarion, where it kind of tells about the origin of them discovering how to become immortal and not being able to be killed. And so there's kind of 2 fractions. There's kind of like the scientists that are trying to figure out, hey, because there's the Caesarians who've kind of turned into Lobo, and it's like, hey, we're impervious to everything. We're just start wars and everything. And what it is General Trib is trying to find a way to, basically take out the maniacs, and she gets involved with Brainiac to try to help it. And so this is kind of where Brainiac, even though he's a machine and everything, he kind of learns about, kindness and humanity. And so it's kind of like, wait, that's kind of not in my programming. My programming is just to seek knowledge and then just destroy everything. So I'm the only one who has it. So that was an interesting story. The Campaign story by Russell and Pugh of Flintstones fame is really, it's kind of a standalone story. It's not hugely involved with the main story. The only reason it is because Perry White is running for mayor, and Garen Blake, who is running on a fear platform of aliens because of the attack and everything. And really, it's once again, it's Russell at his finest, doing a kind of political satire in some respects. It really, I enjoyed it. It's worth picking up for me for that particular story, even though it really is kind of a standalone story in some respects. And then you have Pugh's artwork, which is really good. And basically, I forgot to mention that Bibbo is Perry White's campaign manager. So he runs the campaign during the morning and then opens the bar at noon. So it was really, I really enjoyed that story. And then the last story of Signal is how we find out that when the Brainiacs Brainiac attacked Earth, it was because of Amanda Waller, and then that is going to lead into the Absolute Power crossover that is coming this summer from DC. So it has ties to the House of Brainiac, and it also has ties to Absolute Power. So that is tied into that. So overall, I think it was pretty decent special. Like I said, I really enjoyed the Mark Russell and Steve Pugh. I don't know that people who are reading House of Brainiacs are going to love it as much as I did, but I think it's worth picking up for that alone, in my opinion. But overall, the House of Brainiac has been a surprisingly decent story. I've been really surprised, and it's only in a few books, so that's actually a big plus for this crossover. It's kind of a smaller crossover, which I don't mind, and it's not infecting a whole bunch of books. But I think that it's worth checking out this week. That's going to do it. As always, public service announcement. I get all my comics at Pulp Fiction Comics, Long Beach, California. Ryan Skinner, the owner, runs a great store. There's Annie, there's Wendy, there's Derek, who runs their socials. It's a really good comic shop. Like I said, free comic book days is Saturday. If you're in the area, definitely stop by. I'll be there. The whole gang will be there. And you can check out the store. It's a really good store. They offer discounts on trades and graphic novels. They have a nice manga selection, a good all ages section. And if you decide to become a Pull customer, you'll get a discount on your new books if you order enough books per month. So definitely take advantage of that discount. Like I said, it's a really great store, but as always, support your local comic shop. And once again, if you go to Free Comic Book Day at your local comic shop, please buy something because they do have to pay for the free comics. It's a nominal fee, but they do have to pay for it. So it is important that you make sure you buy something while you're there to help support them buying the free comics. And as always, we end our show with be kind to each other. Kindness doesn't cost anything, and really be kind to yourself. I think a lot of people forget to take care of yourself. I know times are tough, things are really rough out there, but being kind to others and then being kind to yourself is very important at these times. I know, like I said, it's tough. We've had a lot of layoffs at my job. It's not pretty out there for a lot of people, but please take care of yourself and be kind, no matter what. Kindness goes a long way, for everyone. So, that's going to do it this week. Thanks for watching. Don't forget, to watch the Free Comic Book Day review video. Like I said, I'll put that link in the comments, and, just have a good Free Comic Book Day this weekend, at your local comic shop. And, just enjoy and make sure you support your local comic shop. Thanks for watching. This is Steven from PopCultureMaven.com. We'll be back next week with more comic book reviews. And as always, thanks for watching. Take care of yourselves. All right. Bye-bye.